I need a moment for these pumpkins. Look at them back there. You can't even see them. All right, so today we're gonna be talking about high-end makeup products that I believe are worth the splurge. Maybe you have a Sephora gift card or you just want to splurge on some high-end makeup. I feel passionately about this topic, especially when it comes to high-end makeup, because I just don't want you to waste your money. This happens in real life too, where a friend will text me like, what do you think of this? And I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. Do this instead. So I have a few different buy this, not that videos over the years that I'll also link down below. But this is kind of a mix of like newer products I've been loving and just ones I haven't talked about in a while and wanted to highlight. I also show you putting them on my face so you can see what they look like in action. Everything will be linked down below in the description box, and I pin a comment with the links there as well. I have a couple different face products I want to talk about, like foundations, tint, and moisturizers. This one's in a tanner shade, so it's not what I'm wearing right now. I'm actually ironically wearing a like $5 foundation that I've been testing. But this is the House Labs foundation. If you're new to my channel, I've reviewed hundreds of foundations over the years, and I think this is one of the most beautiful high coverage foundations that has ever launched. It is super long lasting. It has that coverage, but it just looks velvety on the skin. I feel like that's the best way to describe it. It has this like creamy velvety kind of finish, satin kind of finish, but it really changes depending on what you put underneath and over top. You can definitely make it more glowy or more matte. And this is one that, based on your comments too that I've seen where I've talked about this foundation in other videos, it seems to work for a bunch of different people and a bunch of different skin types. And I would say this one is unique, that I don't really have a drugstore dupe for this one, or like something that I can really compare it to. This concealer is one that definitely grew on me over time. It's the Natasha Denona. I have the shade N3. Love the packaging of this. It's like a soft matte touch on the top, and then it has that beautiful just like angled triangle kind of paddle applicator. Today I did have to lighten it because this is also my tanner shade, the N3. I lightened it with Birch. This is an Hourglass concealer. I'm not recommending this one in this video, but I just had to lighten it a little bit today. But I did want to show you putting that on. I also have put that on in so many other videos, that concealer. This concealer is full coverage. It wears great throughout the day. Like, I never noticed me needing to tap it out to do anything to it. Wears great, stays on, doesn't crease badly on me. And what I love is that because it's a full coverage concealer, I only have to use a tiny bit towards the inner part of my eye, which helps with creasing. Like, I would rather have something that has a little more coverage and then I have to use less product, but that fully covers my eyes, because then you just have a thinner layer under there. You're not like caking on the concealer. What I use to blend out that concealer, and my go-to concealer brush, which makes such a difference with your application of concealer, is the angled concealer brush by Anissa Beauty. I've been using Anissa Beauty brushes for months and months now, and I wanted to thank them for continuing to support my channel and sponsoring a portion of today's video. You see me using them in every video, but what is in my throat right now? This brush has the perfect density for blending out concealer. It is angled, so it just fits perfectly. I can blend out my concealer in literally like 10-15 seconds. I like to tap it and I just go along. It creates like a nice lifted kind of look, and then I can just turn the brush and get my inner corner and like tap over my lid really well. It's not too hard, it's soft, it doesn't take away the coverage. That's my big issue with a lot of concealer brushes. I do think the Anissa Beauty brushes I'm talking about are worth the splurge. I do have a coupon code for you guys. You can get 20% off for the entire month of September with the code Taylor. Another favorite is the multi-powder brush. This one is so soft. It has a perfect angle to it and density. It's, again, like the concealer brush. It's not too flimsy. It has such a nice density to it, but it's still soft, and it just applies powder so well. I love using it with, this is another product I'm going to talk about in a second. I'll do it next. Love using it with powder foundation, with loose powder. If you like a bigger brush for bronzer, this could also work. And then the tapered highlight brush, this is so nice for if you want just that like soft, not stripy, just like very blended, glow from within, kind of like softer highlight look where you don't want it as concentrated, because as you can see, this is like a bigger kind of brush. I've been using this a lot with a couple highlighters I'll talk about. Because of the shape, you can still get it in the right spot to highlight, but it's much more of just like a dispersed, beautiful, soft kind of highlight look. So Anissa Beauty and the specific brushes I recommend will be linked down below in the description box, and you can use the code Taylor for the month of September for 20% off. Powder foundation I just hinted to. This powder, I use this in a lot of different ways. I use this today just as a like setting powder on certain parts of my face where I just kind of wanted to cover a little bit more of my redness and scarring on like my cheek area and just kind of like soften things out, because this is, let me say what it is. It's the Make Up For Ever HD Skin Matte Velvet Powder Foundation. This has been my favorite for years, but they recently like repackaged it. I think they slightly reformulated it. But I have like 4 different shades of this because it's one of my favorite powder foundations. This gives you good coverage. I would say depending on how you apply it, you know, like how much you're putting on, what kind of brush you're using, you can definitely get full coverage. My mom loves this. I gave her one and she's been using it every single day and it looks so good on her skin. She's been getting like compliments on her skin. It's this guy. This is all she's been using. This does a really nice job of just like smoothing everything out. Soft matte kind of finish while having great coverage. These two, man, these two together, beautiful, super quick. Sometimes I use the darker shades as bronzer on my skin too because it does add that nice like coverage. This cream blush, oh my god, wait till you see this shade applied. So this is the Makeup by Mario Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil in the shade Just Peachy. This color looks beautiful on fair skin, on my tanner shade. It gives the most beautiful peachy, is it called just, okay, I was gonna say, if it's called Peachy Pop, that is like so accurate because it gives the most perfect peachy pop. And the finish is stunning. It has this like radiance to it without being glow overboard. It just makes you look very healthy, blends in beautifully. It just like melts into your skin. And as you can see today, I put it on top of that Makeup Forever powder and it blends out totally fine. So it's not like a finicky cream blush formula where you have to only use creams with it. You can use this on top. This is one of those products that for years has been a favorite. I mentioned it in a Raves and Rejects video, like I want to say literally 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago at least. It's the Janessa Myricks cream bronzer and this is in the shade Light One. When you feel it, it definitely feels like a balmy, like when you're just swatching it, you're like, ooh, that's kind of sticky. But when it blends out, it does have this balmy texture and it has a glow. It does have a glow. So if you're not into that, you know, it does have a glow. But it stays on. I was watching this the other day on my hand to compare it to something else and I went to wash it off and the other one just washed right off and this one I was like scrubbing with soap. So this stays on your skin. It is such a beautiful undertone. It just has this tan to it without being orangey at all. But it's one of those products that whenever I come back to it, I'm like, why did I stop using this? It's so good. Next up, we have a high-end product that I also feel like is super underrated. I think it's because I feel like it's just not marketed the right way. This is a Laura Mercier powder and it's a translucent loose setting powder is what they say it is. Don't use this as a setting powder. I disagree with that. I would say it's a beautiful highlighter. I have the shade Celestial Light, which is like this beautiful hint of pink. It's not too icy, but I think it just gives the most beautiful radiance, very natural. And depending on which brush you use, you can get different kind of results with it. I love using it with the tapered highlight brush because it, again, just makes it look like super natural. You can see that sheen. There's not glitter in it. Also, this will last you friggin' forever because there is so much product in here. And you need a small amount because, again, we're using it as a highlighter, not as an all-over face setting powder. I also think, like, if you're a makeup artist, I feel like this would be really good to have in your kit because I do get that kind of, like, bridal, ethereal kind of vibe from this. So obviously, right now, I do have false lashes on. I'm wearing the 692 Salon Perfect, one of my favorite. I chopped it in half. But the only reason I felt like I wanted to put on lashes today is because I'm filming a couple other things today. So I just wanted to have like full makeup on. But with the combo I'm going to show you, you do not need false lashes. So the Smashbox Extension Nourishing Lash Primer. I've been testing a lot of different lash primers and this one just stands out above the rest. I do notice a difference when I use lash primer. It just gives so much more volume. The key with mascara primer, I feel like, is finding the right amount to let it dry down because you don't want to let it dry down too much to where when you're putting the mascara on top, it's like crunchy and already kind of dry feeling, but you don't want it to be totally wet because then it's really not doing anything. But this is one that I will definitely be repurchasing. I noticed a huge difference with it. The two mascaras I've been using most often with it lately is the Huda Beauty One Coat Wow and then the e.l.f. Lash and Roll. Gives different effects. Today, the one I put on is the Huda Beauty. If you want freaking volume, man, this is not if you want separation, okay? You want natural lashes. This is if you're someone who likes the like thick, voluminous kind of lashes, use the Smashbox. Put this bad boy on, but before you put it on, you have to brush off a ton of the mascara. This alone is really voluminous, but when you use it with the Smashbox primer, it's like next level. But I don't think this mascara is gonna be for everyone. There are amazing drugstore eyeshadow palettes. The reason I'm mentioning this one particularly is the tones really do something for my eyes. I feel like whenever I'm wearing this palette is when I get complimented on my makeup in real life. It's the Dior palette Backstage 01 Nude Essentials. It's just a good, easy, everyday palette. The metallics in here, I would say besides the white, all the other metallics in here are just wearable. They're like everyday, they have a sheen. I wouldn't say they're like incredibly metallic, but they just have a beautiful sheen where they still give your eye that like slight shine, but it's not too much for every day. And it just really makes your eyes pop, especially the white shade. Even when I'm using other palettes, I'll go in with the white from this and put it on my inner corner. So this shimmer shade right here in this one, the undertone is so beautiful. It just gives you that like modelly, Charlotte Tilbury-y kind of eye look. I'm never having a bad eyeshadow day when I use this. I also love how compact it is, just easy to throw in your makeup bag for traveling, whatever. When I was thinking about lip liners, that's another product where there are so many amazing drugstore lip liners, but when I was thinking about if there was one that like really stood out as far as formula and shade, for me, it's Makeup Forever Anywhere Caffeine. So here I'm applying the shade Anywhere Caffeine. I actually messed this up. Wherever Walnut is my all-time favorite. It has more berry in it than Anywhere Caffeine. Anywhere Caffeine is more like an orangey tone. So for me, I prefer Wherever Walnut. Both are great. Both formulas, you know, it's the same formula. So still good, but here's applying the shade that I really love. This is one that I can use on my fair skin, I can use on tan skin, and I love this formula because some lip liners, like when you try to overline on your top, they can kind of just slide around like on top of the foundation or whatever. This one stays put, it has a nice like grip to it, it is long lasting, it gives you the nice definition. Today I have it on with Makeup by Mario Erin, and I really like these two together for just a nude lip. So this is a high-end face product that again, I just don't have a drugstore version that looks quite the same. There's ones that have come close, but this one is just one that always looks friggin' beautiful on my skin, and I have a lash tucked to the back. And I have this in a few shades now because I love it that much. It's the Say Slip Tint. It is SPF 35, but it's a tinted moisturizer. This one I love applying with a specific foundation brush, so I'll link that one down below. But it just looks so plump, so hydrating. It is glowy for sure, but it looks like skin. You can't see it. It doesn't look like you have anything on. But when you apply it with a brush, it does give pretty good coverage. I would say about medium coverage is what I usually get. It'll cover like a decent amount of my redness and stuff. It looks particularly amazing on my forehead, gives you that like very smooth, just flattering look. My skin just looks great when I use this. Another product that I feel like is very underrated, and actually I might add a little bit on today just so you can see. So this is actually a blush. It's the Illuminating Blush in the shade Tempt Me. I have a few different shades I love of this, but the thing is, I don't use this as a blush. Again, I would say it's very glowy, so I use it as a highlighter or like blush topper. And again, depending on like what brush you use, you'll get a different effect with it. The thing I love about this shade is that if you like that very radiant pink kind of look, this will give it to you. It just looks like very soft, very feminine. Like, look at that. You can build it up or go more light-handed with it. This is a product that I discovered in my K-beauty video when I was testing a bunch of Korean beauty brands. The Clio Pro Contour Palette. I've been wanting to reach for this every day, and I haven't wanted to use like a powder bronzer in a while. What I do is I usually take just like a mixture. I kind of take my brush and just go in all three of these ones. They just have the most flattering undertone. If you have fair skin, you know it's hard to find ones that don't pull too gray or too warm and like super orangey. It's hard to find, and this one especially if you're using as a bronzer, but I like to mix in the other ones just to like create that nice neutral undertone. The form of these powders are so soft. They give you a matte finish on the face, but again, it's kind of like using the Makeup Forever powder where it adds just this very nice softness. It doesn't look powdery. It doesn't take away the product underneath. This I don't get any use out of. This is like a chunky kind of highlight, but I do really like this pinky highlight. I've also been using this one pretty frequently. Next up is something that I have not been wanting to take out of my purse. I feel like I need a double of this at this point. It's just the Refi Clear Lip Gloss. One thing I love about this is that it has a metal tip. Okay. I'm gonna wipe that off first. Let me show you this tip. So it has this metal tip, which feels so nice and cooling when you apply it to your lips, and it has this nice slant to it. It's just such a nice experience putting this on because of that cooling factor. This, if you want something that's gonna make your lips look friggin' plump, but that doesn't have a tingle. It's not sticky at all. It fills in the lip lines, but this one looks beautiful on its own with just lip liner over any kind of lipstick. I also don't notice any kind of fragrance, and I freaking love this stuff. All right, friends, that was everything. I'm gonna have everything listed down below in the description box. Do let me know if you try any of these out. I'm always curious to hear your thoughts on products I've recommended. Again, if you want to check out some of my favorite Nisa Beauty brushes, the link is down below in the description box, and you can use the code Taylor for 20% off for the month of September. The pumpkins will be risen next video. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. See you in my next video. Bye. Could you even see my braid this entire video, or is my hair too dark? Because look at that. Isn't that cool? Maybe cool. Maybe too Game of Thrones.